Hi there. I would be surprised to discover that most of us, humans, have never pondered on the mechanics of gravitational attraction, a curiosity to understand the clockwork of the universe. Then again, this world is full of surprises. Maybe belief and assumption is enough for many to never give the matter any consideration. About 10 years ago I had a eureka moment, probably with a vacant mind and possibly following looking out to sea or a star-filled sky. It is a deviation from the standard model. Over the interim period, it has remained with me, and whenever I perused physics lectures, talks or documentaries, I would mentally test to see if my interpretation would be shattered by known knowns or proven experimentation. I have heard talks from renowned people like Noam Chomsky, Richard Feynman, and many others, who proposed that when a correct understanding is realized, we will know it. It will be so simple to be self-evident. I'm not saying that I have the solution, but I do find my visualization simple and elegant. Let's say it still needs the scrutiny of others more knowledgeable than I. Recently, I saw a YouTube video with Noam Chomsky called The Minimalist Program, hosted by Nabil Belmeki, where Noam reiterated the same point again. After listening, I felt, why not express the image I have with words and share it with others? I was going to submit it as a comment, but it became a little long for that. As I have a YouTube channel, even if it never found traction and I have subsequently more or less discarded it, that is where you may find it now. I would welcome feedback, especially constructive criticism, in the comments. I fear the clerics of science adhered to the standard model to vehemently condemn anyone who proposes alternatives as a heretic. Today's scientific community appears to have aspects akin to a competing dogma. Possibly there are other reasons why an obvious simplification is undesirable. It would be normal in many disciplines for the majority of its practitioners to sing from the same hymn sheet. The motivation of each individual is as complex as the human spirit. As yet, hopefully the facility to express ideas that deviate from the popular teaching exists. After all, the current understanding is acknowledged as inadequate. Okay, here is what I see with my mind's eye, if you are curious. It is more so a reinterpretation of known phenomena, rather than questioning or criticism. This explanation will be a simplification, void of inherent technicalities. Imagine an atom, a tiny machine with only a few components, if you will. A nucleus, by far the bulk of the mass, surrounded by a cloud of electrons. The atom, when heated, will absorb energy, causing its electrons to speed up. This results in an expansion of the circumference of the path they travel, maintaining the same frequency for a particular energy level. Add more energy and they will be sufficiently fast that they can reduce in circumference and enter a higher energy level where their new path has scope to re-expand if further energized. If the atom loses energy, the circumference and electron speed reduce, lose enough energy, and the electron drops to a lower energy level, with a subsequent slight gain in circumference, whereby it has the capability of losing more energy as the electron further decelerates. Okay, so far this is in keeping with the Standard Model. For an analogy to grasp the concept of energy levels, imagine you were to spin a marble in a funnel. If you spin it too fast, it will fly out the top. Allow it to spin too slow, and it will fall out the bottom. A wider funnel with the same slope would allow the marble to go faster, whereas a narrower one would facilitate the marble spinning slower. A series of wider and narrower funnels, and there is always one to contain your marble, regardless of its speed. The widths of the funnels are chosen, so there is an overlap. The next size up or down would support the marble speed, be it slowing down or accelerating. Imagine each funnel with the appropriate slope capable of allowing marbles to lap its circumference at its own unique number of revolutions per second for the whole of its speed range. When an electron circumnavigates the nucleus at the highest energy level its current speed allows, it generates a spherical waveform in its wake. All the lower energy levels simultaneously retain their own unique waveforms. When an atom loses energy and its electrons drop to a lower energy level, the higher but suddenly inactive energy level is unsupported and deemed to collapse. But it doesn't. The inherent waveform expands, emits, spherically, like an exploding but intact bubble, an electromagnetic sphere radiating away from the atom at the speed of light. Its electrical and magnetic parts leapfrogging over one another. It retains its integral frequency, filling the space in between, as opposed to stretching, resultant from its spherical expansion. Its intensity may seem to diminish by the square of its distance from the source, but consider its surface area is growing at the same ratio. The ability to close the space as the form expands with a wave of the same frequency, rather than stretching and changing the wavelength, enables it to self-repair to some degree. This is perceivable when light is observed to bend around silhouetted objects. It is best for this reasoning not to think of light or any electromagnetic radiation as photons, wiggly worms emitting in a straight line, moving further apart from one another the further they travel from their source. There are no gaps in where light shines. Another feature of these waveforms is the possibility of more than one from an adjacent source combining and increasing in amplitude. If the detector is sufficiently small and repositioned, it may be possible to notice a phase shift, but it would be within the bandwidth. As already referred to, the nucleus of an atom is massive when compared to electrons. The nucleus knows nothing of gravity and has nowhere to go. Its home is the center point of the atom, the centroid of its surrounding electron cloud. It is at home and safe in the center of its shell. Nothing else matters for the nucleus other than to be surrounded equally in all directions. For that is home, stability, protection. If the cloud shifts, moves or deforms, the nucleus will instantly move also, retaining its center position. There it is safe. When electrons move from one energy level to another, this causes a temporary deformation to the shape of the cloud. The nucleus reacts instantly to reassert itself, ensuring the atom remains a stable entity. The direction and angle where an electron leaps to another level is for the most part random, resulting over time in no significant overall shift in the position of the atom or its nucleus. Apart from the electron undergoing a quantum leap to a higher energy level resultant from the electron gaining energy from heat transfer, there is another phenomenon that can cause electrons to jump. Other atoms, already referred to, where electrons have dropped to a lower energy level, the spherical intrinsic waveform of its formermost upper active level emits through space at the speed of light. If that waveform is sufficiently strong, has the relevant frequency, is in phase with the orientation of a receptive atom, and has an electron spinning towards the waveform when it reaches the proximity of where the particular energy level would be. If all these criteria are met, an electron can be fooled into thinking that energy level is available for its trajectory and jumps into it, continuing around the atom and creating its integral waveform for that level. Even with sufficient amplitude from the approaching waveform, there is still only a 4% probability of a resultant quantum leap, considering all the other conditions that need to be met. This newly formed upper energy level will be short-lived, as the atom does not have the energy to sustain it. The electron will drop to a lower level, and the higher waveform would in turn radiate into space. For an energy level to form in this manner, its incitation causing the electron jump will be in the direction where the radiant waveform first contacts the atom. The nucleus, heavy as it is, must move probably half the distance to the newly incited upper shell to reassert its home position. A very small distance, but nevertheless a movement and a direction toward the radiant source. It is possible that this could be an explanation for what we call gravity, that which holds matter together at a distance. It may be comforting to think that the bonding of our universe is a result of its constituent parts giving of their excess unneeded energy, as opposed to each entity actively targeting others to take from them. There is an inherent beauty in such a model of bonding, whether devised or in evolved iteration, that succeeded in attaining sustainability. Well, there you have it. Make of it what you will.